12 is not the number that I would have seen coming. Pete, what's going on with this possibility here?
So the history of college football's postseason, Rich, is a series of nonsensical compromises, right? It would be logical for this to go to 8 in the next iteration, but you have to understand the compromises that got it to 4. And where we are right now is an uneasy truce between the SEC, Notre Dame, and everybody else. In theory, going from 4 to 8, you go from 4 at-large bids to only either 2 or 3 at-large bids. And for those who have thrived off of at-large bids and have an advantage because of the at-large bid situation, don't want, in theory, less potential access. So, and the notion of having 8 at-large is not appealing to the Pac-12 especially, which is floundering, the Big 12, which is occasionally floundering, and the ACC, which is one Clemson misstep away from floundering. So, and obviously the whole group of 5 wouldn't buy for that. They want some sort of seat at the table. So what has happened, and again, this all has not even been presented yet to be voted on, but what has happened in the back channels and the conversations and the whispers on all sides of the industry is that 12 with 6 automatic bids, we assume, and then 6 at-large bids, becomes more palatable to everyone because it gives the access you want. It gives for the other leagues, it gives the increased access that the power leagues would want. We can throw the Big Ten in there. And the truce comes with more at-large access for everybody. So it doesn't make sense on the surface, but when you drill down and you go through all the competing agendas, because nobody's sitting at the table, Rich, saying, what's best for the game? What's best for the sport? They're saying, how do we keep our slice of the cookie? And this is the way that everybody gets to still eat.
Well, I mean, obviously this is about money because we on this show, and I even go way back to my SportsCenter days where I put out on a SportsCenter 2 a.m. show, and I spent hours researching it and looking it up and putting a piece together for a 16-team playoff. And this is now 20 years ago, where I went 16, and I would use existing bowl games and their sites as the sites for, quarterfinal games, and top seeds would actually use their home stadiums to host to start off a tournament. So I've been pounding the table, and it's got to be money trumping all of it because I don't hear the usual old saws as to why something like this can happen, that it would, A, ruin the bowl season, B, it would also destroy the win all or nothing attitude or sensibilities of every single week in college football, C, it would also remove the student athletes from the classroom. Like, when are they going to take their finals? I would even hear that. Like, now you're hearing, coaches say, well, we're playing 16, 17 games like a professional schedule. These guys are wiped out. There's no concern about that right now, is there?
Well, there will be concern about that, Rich. I do think that is probably the biggest obstacle to this steep of an expansion. Health and safety, player health and safety. The counter to that is, say, let's just use the metaphorical Orange Bowl as an example. Well, yes. If you want a kid to play his 15th, 16th, 17th game in the Orange Bowl, can the Orange Bowl give a $1,000 appearance fee for every player? Or do they have an autograph session? And if it's some metaphorical Tua or Joe Burrow or some transcendent star, did they get $10,000? Is there some monetary incentive, as Congress is discussing name, image, and likeness as we're on the air here? Is there some sort of monetary advantage that may make the risk more palatable? I think that's going to inherently come up. It will be interesting to see what the voice of the athlete is. There's myriad reasons why this is going to happen. Money being primary. I'm certainly not naive to that.
Right.
12 is more money. It's 11 games. There are 3 postseason games right now. There are 7 games within the postseason contract. What this does is you don't have the Cotton Bowl where Kyle Pitts and every receiver with a pulse on Florida bails out for health and safety. I'm not knocking them for bailing out, mind you.
Yes.
That's a very wise business decision. you have a Cotton Bowl where Florida's playing a game that's a playoff game with some juice, and Kyle Pitts and company are probably going to play in it. So it's interesting to see how in just a decade the conversation has evolved. I mean, they wouldn't even say the word playoff a decade ago. They had to call the proposal a +1 when it got shot down. And now there's a very good chance that an anchor that they grow exponentially here.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.